Who are some of the worst bosses you have worked for? Who is like the devil of a boss that you've had in your past?
I had a dance teacher who had a reputation of being really, really tough. And the first day of class at Syracuse, she kicked me out of class because I had nail polish on. And I remember sitting on the stoop outside, picking off my nail polish, and I just said, forget it, and I left and never came back to that day. And I ended up taking my nail polish on and starting. But she
that's
was.
What brought her here.
That's what brought, yeah, exactly.
That's the story.
Have you ever wanted something? Well, how about your hellish boss?
I didn't have any hellish bosses that I can recall. I mean, I had hellish jobs.
Yeah.
But when I grew up in my little town, I remember I worked at a lumber mill one summer. My brothers and I worked at a lumber mill, stacking and binding lumber. And I was like 15. There was this pickup truck that we were allowed to drive from the boss's house out to the yard where we stacked the lumber, because it had the metal binding tape on it. So I was driving it back to the boss's house one night after work, and it was a standard, and I couldn't really drive, but I pushed in the clutch, thinking it was the brake, and the truck drove into the side of the boss's house, and his wife was cooking inside on the stove,
my God.
and it knocked the stove away from the wall. So I got fired, but really he had good reason to fire me. Yeah. I was happy. It was a terrible job.
Have you ever wanted something so bad, like looking back, that at the time you thought, I'm willing to make a pact, I'm willing to bargain something big for this. I want this so bad, and I'm willing to bargain with perhaps nefarious forces for it. Maybe not that extensive, but...
Not consciously, no. I mean, now that I realize now I traded all my dignity for success in Hollywood. Which most of us will do. But no, not consciously.
What's interesting is the both of you together, I would have never pictured it, but I'm really surprised how well you work together and the chemistry that you have. Was that something that was there immediately, or did you work on it? Or?
Kind of, it was
pretty immediately.
Yeah.
I mean,
we didn't know what we were doing in the very beginning.
No.
We hope it's good.
No, I mean, but we're both professionals. I mean, and I mean that, and I flatter myself when I say that. Vanessa obviously is, but I mean that entails being prepared, being prompt, being respectful to all your cast and crewmates, and being cheerful as possible. And Vanessa epitomizes that, and I try and I try to come close to that. And so we had that going from us, and then I just liked her. And I found I did, and I was really happy to get to know her, because there's nothing worse than a bad workplace.
We spend a lot of time together.
That's just awful. Especially if you're supposed to pretend you like somebody,
Yeah.
and you can't stand them. That's awful. So we're lucky.
And I was immediately all over him for some reason. Every scene I was like, oh, Gavin.
I like this girl's style. I like this girl's style. She's very relaxed.
I know, right? Impeccably dressed. Yeah.
I'm still a little shy. I mean, I'm still, but the funny thing was, I can't tell you. I'll tell you after.
Okay.
That's fair. No.
Yeah.
What?
You turn everything off.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly. No one will say.
Yeah. Just stay.
Just stay here. Yeah.
So what scares you? Be it like creepy clowns, or is there anything that kind of freaks you guys out?
I was just, they asked on the panel what was your favorite horror movie or the worst, and I forgot. I said Wait Until Dark, which I remember being kind of scary. But when I saw In Cold Blood, it was the most frightening movie I think I've ever seen. And it was at that point that I realized that, we're the scariest things in the world. It's us, it's people. At that point, now I hear something that goes bump in the night, and honestly, I have to get up. I had a big house in Maryland that had 3 floors. I would hear something go bump, and I would get up with a stick, with John Locke's knife in one hand and a big stick in the other hand. I'd have to go all through the house to identify that bump, and it happened occasionally more than once a night, inevitably.
Was it an old house?
It wasn't that old, but it was big, and it was, it was windy, and it was like, what a pain, flipping on lights.
That scares me, the idea of you walking out with the Bowie knife and then
knife.
yeah.
But that was because of In Cold Blood. that scares. That's people like that.
Yeah, I've now that I have 4 kids, 3 of them are gone out of the house, and my daughter is actually living in California while I shoot here, so I'm living in my house alone. So if I hear the sensor go off when I'm alone by myself, immediately it's like, what door is it? What window is it? Who's there? And I don't have any weapons, but I just kind of cower and hope that it doesn't happen. And the phone's right next to me.
That's the big dog.
Oh yeah, I do have Great Danes, so that helps. But they don't do anything.
Yeah.
They're just big lovers. So that being home alone kind of scares me.
What's cool about your characters is that one of the weapons you use extremely well so far is temptation, and finding out what a person's weakness is and tempting it with that. What's that like? And as the series move on, do you have some suggestions for what they might throw in as a temptation for some of the characters that you deal with?
I don't know. I think it's funny because people ask questions about that kind of as though it's unique to us or that the person asking the question isn't subject to some other similar temptation. We all make little deals. I mean, we make little deals every day. We go, when I was talking about a happy workplace, I mean, the best example I have is you go to work with somebody who's the star of the show or something, and they're just asses, and they're just mean to people. And so everybody on that set has to go home at night and hate themselves a little bit for pretending to like their jokes, or for taking that kind of bull crap from somebody at work. It's a deal you make, and then you pay for it. There's a sort of a karmic price, and so I think we all are. I don't know how that led to that, but I think we're all subject to those kind of temptations, and I think we in fact act on those temptations in little ways that we maybe don't even recognize anymore. None of us are pure as the driven snow, that's for sure.
Since you're filming in New York and Michael Emerson is also filming in New York, do you guys ever get a chance to meet up for dinner?
We had dinner last night.
Yeah?
Yeah, we had dinner last night, and we do it, at least once a week.
Yeah?
Yeah. His wife Carrie is in town. She just made a movie called That's What She Said that's going to open on Friday, and so we were going and talking about that. She showed me, she tweeted all that. Because
He's new to Twitter.
I'm a new tweet guy. But, yeah, so we see each other a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's probably the only person I've hung on to through this long career as a friend. A regular friend that I see a lot, stay in touch with on a regular basis.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's great.
I got to speak with him yesterday, talking about person of interest. He was here as well, and he was saying, after Lost and after that show, and I feel like maybe the equivalent of what he said for you, that he's ready for something funny, maybe a little light. Do you feel the same way, or are you like, no, keep giving me like?
No, that would be great. I think that would be great.
Get you to a buddy comedy.
I think that would be fun. I told him, I already pitched one to him about a road trip,
Yeah.
buddy road trip. That'd be fun. Have his wife make it.
Can you talk a little bit about where you'd like to see your characters go? I mean, they're kind of, darker than I think, darker than characters. I mean, equally dastardly characters before, but kind of less, maybe a little gray. Where do you want to see these characters go in success?
Well, the fact that we start with a loving relationship and have some tragedy and also a threat that we get into coming down the road, which his job is to protect me, I would love to explore that more. Does he have a reason to protect me, and is there something that he's had to do and that was his job? And what was this force that I rely on him to protect me about? It's all, we don't know. I mean, we just know that there's something coming.
The more opportunities the story gives us to interact, the happier I am. It's fun to work on those people from outside and stuff, but the more she gets involved in my operations, the happier I'll be, because it just gives us more chances to work and fluctuations to the relationship.
One of my favorite scenes, which I don't know what episode, is we're talking about something pretty intimate, and I'm shaving him with a straight razor, and it's played in a way where Olivia might have some power when she's holding the blade. He certainly has power, there's a little slip of the blade, and you see the dance where she's terrified, but was it intentional? Was it not? And it's
Who trusts
brilliant.
who fully?
Who trusts who? Yeah. And
Stuff.
just in that, the gasp, the looking at each other, the silence, and the weapon, all and done in love, and in very close, intimate proximity. That was one of my favorite intimate scenes.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry,
Could I get a
guys.
quick
Yeah.
picture?